After the brutal murder of Mrefu, a former gangster who turned into a police informant, a dark silence fell over Nyeri. His lifeless body was discovered floating in the muddy waters of Karia Dam in November of 2018. That discovery sent shockwaves through both the underworld and law enforcement. Mrefu had been walking a dangerous line, feeding police with inside information while still trying to survive among criminals. But betrayal always comes at a cost. Someone had decided it was time for him to pay in blood. And one name kept coming up, and that is Sniper. For years, he had moved like a ghost, silent, calculated and untouchable. But this time the heat was different. The death of Mrefu had turned the full force of law enforcement against him. If the police wanted him before, now they were obsessed. To them, this wasn't just another case, it was personal. Realizing that the walls were closing in, Sniper vanished. He abandoned his usual hideouts, cut off familiar faces and disappeared into the shadows. But hiding costs money and soon, he ran out of cash. So, Sniper came up with a plan. He formed a small crew of reckless young thieves, targeting empty homes of families who had traveled up country for Christmas. It was silent, swift and profitable, until it wasn't. Police began noticing a pattern. Whispers spread that one of their own, a police constable, was secretly working with the criminals. The pressure grew and on December 29th of 2018, that officer was transferred.
It has almost become tradition for most Kenyans to travel to various holiday destinations during the Christmas festivities. In Nyeri town, a trend is emerging where robbers are targeting holidays who have traveled, breaking into their houses and stealing.
The following week, police launched a massive crackdown in Majengo slums. Over 100 suspects were arrested in a single swoop. The message was clear: Nyeri would no longer be a playground for Sniper. The raid forced him deeper underground. But once again, money ran out. Small robberies weren't enough anymore. He needed something bigger. So, he set his eyes on Chanya Tavern, a popular entertainment joint in Kingongo. On the night of January 30th, 2019, Sniper sent his crew to execute the heist. The plan worked at least for a few hours. But by morning, the same men were arrested in Majengo. Police dogs had followed their scent straight from the crime scene. Even worse, they were found drunk, celebrating with stolen liquor. It was a humiliating blow, and under interrogation, the crew betrayed him.
Suspected thieves were arrested this morning in Majengo, Nyeri County, and several electronic items including 2 television sets and CCTV equipment recovered. According to Nyeri Central OCPD Paul Courier, the police were acting on a distress call following a robbery at a pub in Nyeri last night. Courier say that using police dogs, they followed the trail to the suspect's house where they found him enjoying part of the stolen liquor. The police boss added that Majengo slums, where the suspects were arrested, has been a safe haven for thieves for a long time, and they have now intensified operations in the slums to weed out criminal elements.
Their confession forced Sniper to flee Nyeri once again, this time to Juja town in Kiambu. For weeks, he kept a low profile. But on March 12, 2019, his luck ran out. Sniper and his crew were ambushed by police as they planned to rob a petrol station in Juja. In a moment of carelessness, he had switched on his phone, exposing his location. 5 of his men were gunned down on the spot. Sniper escaped, but only just. Knowing the police were now tracing his phone, he threw it away and quietly returned to Nyeri. For a few months, he stayed silent. Then on April 30, 2019, he struck again. This time it was Equity Bank in Karatina. Armed with AK-47s, his gang stormed in at 7 p.m. and shouted, "Laleni chini." They made away with 873,000 Kenyan shillings. When witnesses mentioned AK-47s, detectives immediately knew Sniper was back.
Police are hot on the trails of robbers who actually yesterday managed to get into Equity branch, Karatina. And what we understand from the police is that shortly after 7 p.m., after the armed guards who normally man the premise had left, they were able to come in, master their way in using master keys, and then they were also able to order everybody who was inside to lie on the floor. We are told that they had an AK-47, other weapons, and they were able to manage to get into the strong room where they were able to come out with the cash, around 870,000 Kenya shillings.
The manhunt intensified, but Sniper was clever. He moved between the houses of many girlfriends, spending each night in a different home. It was the perfect disguise, hiding in plain sight. But love would soon become his downfall. One of his girlfriends was secretly working in the police. They used her as bait, just like Delilah in the Bible. Unaware of the trap, Sniper continued to live recklessly, convinced he was invisible. By August of 2019, he had moved back to Juja and pulled off another robbery, this time attacking an anti-terror police unit officer and stealing his Seska pistol. It was smaller than an AK-47, easier to carry and deadlier up close. Sniper believed he was unstoppable, but fate had already written his final chapter. On the night of October 10, 2019, Sniper was with his girlfriend near Viceroy Club, planning yet another robbery. What he didn't know was that his girlfriend had already informed the police. As he prepared to strike, officers surrounded the area. When Sniper realized he was cornered, he pulled his gun and fired. A fierce 20-minute shootout followed. The air was filled with gunfire and chaos, but this time his luck had finally ran out. As he tried to reload his pistol, the police opened fire. Sniper fell to the ground, motionless. Beside him lay the same Seska pistol he had stolen from the Juja officer months earlier. It was October 11, 2019. Elias Kereithi, known on the streets as Sniper, was dead at just 29 years old. His reign of terror had come to a violent end. From a small town boy in Kamakwa to one of the most feared criminals in central Kenya, Sniper's life was a story of choices, each darker than the last. In the end, crime didn't just destroy his victims, it destroyed him too. If you have watched this far, thank you for keeping these stories alive. Part 2 and Part 3 complete the rise and fall of Sniper. Subscribe for more real Kenyan stories where truth is stranger than fiction.
Now, a man described as Central Region's most wanted criminal has been shot dead by police in Nyeri. Now, the suspect, Elias Kereithi, was killed on Thursday night, bringing to an end a long search for a man who had caused the residents of Nyeri and Central Kenya sleepless nights. Melita Oletengi.